Hi, everybody. This is the baseball head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Head 3, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. This is not a video I take great pride in because we have a lot of fun here, but I don't like the idea that some people got fired, they lost their jobs, and that's what kind of happened at WFAN. Brand Tierney and Salicata, particularly Brand Tierney, announced on Thursday that their show's being canceled in light of the fact that Craig Carton is returning to the radio station to take over the afternoon drive, and it's been so disruptive that there was like a musical chairs situation where Brandon Tierney and Salicata's show is now kaput. It is now kaput. I don't take great pride in it. I've been sort of goofing on them the last 2 years, in particular Salicata. I do not feel any kind of like pride in this at all. I didn't want to see these guys lose their job. Nothing personal. This business. And I would mention, talking about these guys has made me quite a bit of money on the baseball head too. And so it's not really personal. But to see this bothers me because I don't like the radio business and the fact that they'll drop me in a second. If it's $1 more that these program directors can get out of somebody, they'll do it. Now we'll see what happens with Carton, what happens with the show. We're gonna make fun of him like you've never seen. You're gonna light it up like a bonfire. Believe me, there's a lot there between him being bald, being in the prison. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you need to hit that subscribe button. He starts in just January 5th. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. But it was confirmed today that Brandon Tierney, that the show is done. They said the show must go on. Well, the show's gone. From Barrett Media, Brandon Tierney confirms WFN exit. Final show is Salicata on Friday. Now, this will be tomorrow. Or Friday. I will host the following week's solo, and then it's officially a wrap. Oh boy. Sucks. Changes to the lineup at WFN are moving Brandon Tierney and Salicata out of their midday time slot. That duo's final program will now be on Friday. And this was a decent show. They did good ratings. They created a lot of buzz with the show. And they've taken it rather well. I would not have taken it this well. Believe me. With the return of Craig Carton to the New York Sports Talk station, WFN is moving Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber to the 10 to 2 p.m. time slot, currently occupied by BT and Sal. Here's the revamped WFN schedule. From 5 to 6, the warm-up show of Al Dukes and Jerry Recco. From 6 to 10, Boomer and Gio. Of course, Norman and Gregory. Then 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we have Uneven Evan and Tiki. He's now uneven. Evan is now uneven Evan because now this whole thing with the Mets has made him so out of sorts. He's a little uneven now. So you can't say he's disturbed. He's just uneven. I think that's a good kind of comment, a good kind of good kind of nickname for him. Uneven Evan and Tiki with Sean Marash, aka the Spud. 2 to 7, The Carton Show with Craig Carton and Chris McMonagle, the psycho killer. You see pictures of Chris McMonagle. The guy looks like an axe murderer. All in fun, I'm saying. Don't keep him around your kids. He's the kind of face that you see in these horror movies, and that's like the killer. From 7 to 12, After Hours with Tommy Lugauer. Okay? Brandon Tierney and Salicata took the airwaves on Thursday to reveal that their final show together is now scheduled for tomorrow. Quote, this is an ex-post. Tomorrow will be the final BT and Sal show on the fan. Tierney wrote in a post on social media, I will host the following week solo. And it's officially a wrap. They couldn't give Sal another week. Low man on the totem pole. I said that. And they certainly treated him as such. Terrible. Noticeably, WFN has yet to announce plans for its overnight show. Because previously worked in that day part of the station before his elevation in the lineup. Most recently, the Psycho Killer and Keith McPherson. What happened to him? He got sent out of here. He quit a couple weeks ago. Had worked in the late evening and overnight hours. However, with McMonagle's elevation to afternoon drive alongside Carton and the exit of McPherson, the station has yet to announce plans for the day part. Licata, meanwhile, has not made any announcements on his future. And there's been no announcements by Tierney. Now, I think Tierney's going to land on his feet. He's a real professional broadcaster, just based on how you see things, how I see things. He's been at ESPN. He knows the business. Sal, I worry about Sal. Because there is no real alternative for him. He has the SNY show, and that is a TV show. It's pretty good, in that you see him on a regular basis, but it's so local. It's a local show. This is not so much local. It's, radio's a little bit different than SNY, which is the Mets network. If you don't know, so he's sort of limited in that. This is a real blow for these guys. I mean, I feel really bad for them. Like I said. Now, Brandon Tierney's been national. He's been on ESPN, not on the radio, but also on TV. Sal's not done that. Sal's been sort of the guy, he was a fill-in guy for most of his career at WFAN. The only time he had a regular show is when he worked at on 710 when the New York Mets were on that radio station for a few years. He was there. He was the night guy, and that show was pretty good. But that was a local show. It's not a national show or any kind of ability to have a national show. But it's just not the greatest situation for these guys, and you feel bad. But that's how cutthroat. This is how cutthroat the radio business is. I thought that just thinking about this over the last couple of days, since really last week, since this news came down that this whole station was getting revamped, all the lineups were getting revamped, then maybe these guys should consider working on their own. I know it's scary. Maybe to do their own YouTube channels and do their own podcasts, you'll be a lot better off. Now, a guy like Craig Carton, he can't do that. It's like that line from The Shawshank Redemption, where the old guy gets out of prison and he can't handle it, and he's what they call institutionalized. He'll do anything to get back into the prison. That's kind of what has happened here with Craig Carton. He can't survive outside the nervous hospital. He has to return. He's just too institutionalized. But I would say, Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata and Uneven Evan have done a lot of work on the YouTube channel that WFN has. I would suggest, I've said this many, many times over the last few days and the last week or so, that these guys should not participate in anything that has to do with WFN's YouTube channel. That Brandon Tierney and Sal should consider doing their own show on YouTube. It would do well. And I think about the revenue that these guys brought in on YouTube for WFAN, and where did they get them? For instance, when they were doing their show live every day on YouTube, this is BT and Sal, they turn off the super chats. So any possible money that Sal and aka the Spaz and the Coconut Head would get was turned off. You'd think WFAN and its grand abilities to make money, you'd think they could have left the super chats open for these guys to make some money. Make a deal. You see this Rico Brogna show that Evan Roberts has. It's a simulcast, I guess, for the podcast he has. How much money is this guy losing? Because they won't turn on the super chats for him. Look at the money that's being lost. Tons of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars of money being lost because WFN turns off the super chats. But that's a corporation. That's how it is. That's why I like being independent. And you should stay independent. Stay away from these toxic and evil corporations because they just take more money out of you than you could possibly imagine. But again, these guys are institutionalized. They've been so trained to work for and be in radio. They can't help themselves. And as you know, this is another episode and another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha, to the funny fun.